Hello and welcome back to another day, another Dolly. Today is episode 4 of Dollie Diaries, continuing our Heiter custom project. Now, first off, this is Heiter after the epoxy has dried. Still looking pretty rough, but I've smoothed out the areas that we sculpted on, so it's looking better than it was. Today we are going to be painting a base coat of white on him along with a coat of sealant, so that way we can prep the surface for our real paint job. So the white and the light coat of sealant is going to help us create a nice base layer to work on top of. But before we get into that, I thought I would show you progress on his coat. Now, I did show you last time his simple skirt. However, since I have finished his coat, so I did some light embroidery on the sleeves. The design part is with embroidery floss. I used some yellow ribbon on the edges of the cuffs, as well as to make the other detailing. This yellow ribbon was something that I got discounted at a craft store, I believe, over a year ago, and I've just had lying around, so I was very pleased to finally get to use it. I also additionally have some golden elastic with some cheap beads here, and basically created a closure system for the coat so that with this, let's see if it can, this little loop, it can slide up onto the tassel on the other side and then over the bead to create a closure that looks pretty decent. I'm probably going to tie these down to the robe eventually, but I think it turned out pretty good overall. But I just wanted to show you guys. No progress on the belt, otherwise I would show it off. So I'm going to get ready to paint that base coat of white, and we will be right back in a moment. Alright, I got my paint palette and paintbrush ready to go. I'm going to put some rubber gloves on here. I'm gonna grab our handy dandy Superman, and we're gonna just jump right in. Now, the great thing about this base coat is it does not need to look great. It just needs to not be super clumpy. It's just here to help give us something to work with. So we really aren't worried about even full coverage. We just want to get some white everywhere. And especially, this is going to help us see if the epoxy was really missing anything, because it's really hard to tell when stuff looks super splotchy from sanding it, just how well you manage to get things accomplished. So I feel like this base coat is really going to go a long way. And I did also add some epoxy to his back. I don't think I had shown that on video, but yeah. At the end, I had just decided to cover up the holes where the cape used to be attached, because I figured, why not? Now, I'm not expecting this to stick to the joints, but we will, for the sake of getting the plastic near them, just paint them lightly. We're gonna be moving him around as he's drying so his joints don't get stiff anyway. So it'll be fine. I'm gonna keep painting him off screen and we'll be right back. And we have a base coat on Heiter. Now I will say it looks like we did a decent job with the face. It's hard to tell until we really get into the meat and potatoes, but I think I got most of Superman's dimples gone, which was part of my goal. I also think the little strands of hair sculpted in pretty nice by the looks of it. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, I think, you know, the base coat went pretty well. And once this base coat is dry, we're going to paint on a layer of, put him down carefully. I'll put on a layer of Vallejo matte varnish. And that should be the final prep step before we can get into the real meat and potatoes of making this guy look like Heiter. I am really excited, guys. All right. See you when it's time to seal him in. All right. Welcome back again. Of course, for you, it's only been a moment, but I think the white paint has dried long enough, and then we can go right in with some sealant to get our base truly prepped. Now, I like to do what I call the two-brush method. And what you might notice is I'm kind of doing a big no-no in terms of what you usually want to do with sealant. You usually want to be quite careful. But I found that you can sometimes get away with globbing it on and then taking a smaller brush to just sort of brush off the excess. Leaving you with a nicer finish. And quite happily, I've noticed since I've been using the two-brush method, I tend to not use as much sealant in the long run because I don't have to keep dipping for more. I just work with what I've got. So yeah, I'm gonna coat this boy in some Vallejo, and then next time we will jump into his face up, which is super duper exciting. I'm glad I've gotten to bring you guys along on this journey. As hectic as it's been, doing several different videos, but we're finally making progress, and that's quite a happy thing. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.